Go, Steven.
All right, so I'm going to start a quick screen share with the presentation itself. I don't want this to be like really like a big presentation thing, so I want this to be interactive. So at any point you have any specific, questions or anything or clarifiers, because I made the presentation pretty brief, pretty lean. So please feel free to like ask me some questions, and what I'll do is I'll kind of keep it with a lot of pauses, I guess, for lack of a better way. Um, as I mentioned, my name is Stephen Jaye, and I started Reclaim Your Time a lot to kind of start undoing some of the damage that some of these addictive attention grabbing technologies have done. Um, and it really is about the amount of time it occupies from you. So I think we're all aware of the problem. Let me know if you have any questions about it, but about just how much time we're sucked into these devices. Um, it's hard to get a real estimate about how many hours per day people are in front of screens because there's a lot of what I refer to as double screen time, or times when you have multiple devices out. This is like, okay, you have your TV on, but you also have your phone out. You have your laptop, and you're also in front of the TV, etc. But some estimates do say that in the US, people average up to and possibly over 12 hours per day in front of screens. And that's just a ton of time. And what we see with this is that it hasn't necessarily been great for our mental health. There are a lot of charts like this one that show some of these mental health outcomes over time. And the two dates I always point out whenever you're looking at any of these charts are 2009 and 2012. 2009 is when social media became toxic, according to the author Jonathan Haidt, who's pictured up there. And his claim, which I can go into in more depth if you want to continue the conversation, but I didn't want to get so much in the weed. But his claim is that the like and reshare buttons are what made social media the toxic environment that it is today. 2012 is the date that our smartphone market penetration reached 50%. So starting in 2012, more than half of Americans and probably similar in similar countries, have smartphones, especially Canada probably followed around the same trajectory, maybe a little bit different in Mexico and other nearby countries. But starting in 2012, more than half of people have smartphones. And what we see is that the rates of a lot of these bad mental health outcomes, and not pictured here like, anxiety, depression, other stuff, just really start to skyrocket. And this is one of the things that really motivated me to want to take on this problem. So we lost a lot. We lost a lot of time. We lost a lot of our focus. We lost our ability to connect with ourselves. We lost the ability to really kind of read a lot, research a lot for our careers, level up. One of the biggest casualties of this era has been our friendships, our connections. And this is a very powerful graph that shows that in 1990, they asked a survey of how many close friends do you have? A clear majority, if you look at these numbers, said five or more, one of these top two categories. That same survey, more or less, it was a different survey, but they asked the same exact question in 2021, puts a clear majority in the four or less category, with an alarming 12% saying they have no close friendships, which, I mean, just imagine having no one to turn to, no one to, ask questions of. And also the amount of time we spend with friends is also kind of evaporated. So I think we're all aware of kind of the issue coming in, people losing sleep because they're staring at their phone before bed. And when people talk about it, I think almost everyone now recognizes that there is a problem. One of the things that people do, the most common answers I get to that problem are one, that's someone else's problem, i.e., this is a problem for kids or problem for Gen Z, defined, and not my problem. People saying that, but also I don't know if any of you out there have done some of these other tactics that usually rely on willpower, such as, okay, I'm going to look at my weekly screen time and track the numbers and try to get that number down. Or I'm going to set this time limit on my iPhone, but then always click ignore limit and get that same screen. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that screen before. Um, and the problem is that they rely on willpower. Now, I've talked to plenty of people who do things like deleting apps and putting apps in grayscale and stuff like that. And they're a little bit of a level up, but I would argue that a lot of those still rely on willpower because you can still go to the website. So if you delete your Instagram app, you can still go to Instagram.com on your phone browser. And I've also heard a lot of stories about a lot of people doing that. So what I found works is having other things to do. So having a different thing in mind, especially if you can map that different thing to a life goal, a life outcome. So I like to get out in nature. Doing trivia and going to concerts is a very social thing. Attending things like Startup Week is obviously good for your career, and before mentioned reading. And the key, having read Atomic Habits, which is one of the books, you know, that is shown here is that making that new habit more obvious, attractive, and satisfying, as James Clear puts it, or more accessible, desirable, and rewarding, as I put it in my program. So that's in essence what I do to get people to stop giving away so much time to these addictive devices and start, actually taking part in other behaviors. Now, that's kind of what I want to be the gist of this, the me talking at you all part of this whole group. Does anyone have any questions about kind of the base level of what I shared out?
I have a question about another book.
Okay.
I read or saw somewhere that Tiny Habits by, I think, BJ, what's his face, had something to do with how they built the phones in the first place.
Yeah, BJ Fogg, and that's a wonderful book. And I don't have the resource on hand, but he does have a course online that you can go through, and he has office hours with that coach, with that coaching service, where if you actually wanted to interact with BJ Fogg, you can. So I would also recommend that book and recommend that as a resource. Thank you, and Sophie, I see your hand raised as well.
Yes, I was on mute. I have a question. So I definitely think like using well, like for me, in terms of electronics, I use my phone a lot. So that would be the screen of choice, I suppose. While I'm also on the computer, but I
Yeah,
find that I'm mindlessly scrolling more. And it's usually later at night. And that I think that's a hard one where I would like to stop. I mean, there's like that dopamine hit if you're watching reels and stuff, but it's also
yeah,
at that time I'm very, very low energy. So it's like at the end of the day, I've done a lot of things. I've done a lot of like, so for my job, I'm an executive in transformation. I also am a career coach. I do a lot of thinking. So I'm curious, like, what is a behavioral replacement to like reels or something that's like low energy, low impact, like maybe not
yeah.
as movement wise late at night? Like, because I definitely understand like, oh, reading and going out and watching, but then I also find like watching a movie or a TV show is very similar. It's just on another screen.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. First of all, I can actually go through if you want to use that example because so what I have here is the exercise, which I have another handout around where you actually go through thinking of a common situation where you end up unintentionally staring at your screens and determine what you can do at that time. And the key to this exercise is that it's not one size fits all. Like as you said, like what may work for one person is not necessarily going to work for another person. And you have a different scenarios. So the key to this exercise is kind of exactly what you just said, recognizing how you feel. But to understand this exercise, I do want to give you a little bit of framework of what I mean when I say unintentional versus intentional, because that even gets into your idea of like watching a movie. So I do like to make a distinction between intentional and unintentional screen time. Intentional to me is when you have a clear purpose around it and you have a clear end game. And watching a movie actually does fit into that category because you know what content you're consuming. You're consuming the movie. You know when you're done. You're done when the movie is done. And there's no open-ended commitment to more scrolling and more scrolling. So if it's a 2 hour movie, the 2 hour movie's done, and then you're absolutely done. So the other key distinction in that is also that when you're watching screens intentionally, you're in control of the content you're consuming, which is really huge for the mental health component of it because um, the algorithm is giving you whatever is going to make you engage more, whatever's going to make you stuck more. They don't care about your mental health. They don't care about your productivity. They don't care about anything. They just want you to be stuck. Whereas, so as long as you're watching the movie and you're not also doing this, as long as you're not double screen timing, as long as you're actually just sitting and watching the movie and not doing another thing, that does take you into that intentional realm. So that does make it a market improvement, over just kind of letting those things scroll. So, Sophie, if you wouldn't mind, assuming if there's any other questions, I'll open the floor to that. But if you wouldn't mind, kind of going through this type of exercise with us to give us an example. I will just quick open if anyone else has any other questions before we do that.
I'd be happy to do it.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up another sheet that I have. So this is the sheet that was shared out before. Can everyone see? Can everyone see this particular sheet right here? And I can kind of try to expand this into full screen as much as possible. But this is a sheet I give out in a lot of my workshops, and it's a taste of what I do with my program. And essentially, what we're doing is we're identifying a common situation and a way in which to start a behavior replacement. And so, it starts by telling a story. Now, Sophie, you began telling the story. Maybe let's go back into the story with a little bit more detail. You said it's
Okay.
commonly in the evening. Is it almost every evening?
Yeah.
Is it?
So I can tell the story. So it's usually on weekday evening. So I wake up usually between 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. And then like I work I work two jobs and I volunteer at a nonprofit board. So usually my day is taken up by that. And then we have dinner I finish work at 6. Then I'll hang out with my toddler. We'll have dinner at 7, 8 o'clock. We do bedtime routine and we're kind of done by 9. So it happens usually every day on weekdays, except for probably Fridays, is Monday. Well, no, Mondays and Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I also volunteer. So Thursdays and Fridays are half and half. But it usually happens between 9 and midnight or like 9 and 11:30. I am probably dual screening. I'm either watching a TV, I'm using my phone, or I'm just like laying on my couch on my phone and I'm either on Facebook or I'm on YouTube and I'm exclusively watching reels. What reels could be different? I watch a lot of different reels. It's also what reel content. I watch like almost movies and TVs on reels, whatever they're sending me that day. Could be cooking recipes. It's just reels. I'm not really intentional. It's just and sometimes there's career advice and sometimes it's related to work, but not always. So I'm watching reels. Um, so that's kind of happening. I kind of try to get away from reels. I've done that gray screen thing. I've tried to like put timers on. I realize I don't like it when technology tells me what to do. Um, but it's one of the things I would
Yeah.
like to stop.
All right. And then just to clarify a little bit about, so here's like the story, like where you are. So you're physically, are you in your bed or are you in another room?
I'm usually laying flat, so I'm either on the living room couch, maybe I'm on my bed, but most of the time I'm just on the living room couch. Like I make it to the couch and I spend the whole time being like, I should go to bed. But
Yeah.
yes, I'm usually on my couch.
Okay. And then that gets into these other things. Now you would touch a little bit on your feeling, and the main thing you said about your feelings that you're feeling too exhausted from what you've done so far with your day to really do anything ambitious like read or do like I don't know, learn another language or something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm not in an educational mode at that point. I'm very, very tired. My days tend to be very
Yeah.
long. Most of the time,
And
I think I'm a parent, so I think I'm just carving time for myself. And maybe this is a form of relaxation, but I don't love it. And I'm actively procrastinating against sleeping, which is probably what I should be doing because I'm not getting as much sleep as I would probably need. Um, but that's always a toss up. So I'm feeling kind of like just really tired.
Nice. So before we get into the course of action in the spirit of how, this whole group works, I want to open it up to the floor and see if anyone has any, either whether it be further questions or and further thoughts about what they're hearing from Sophie.
I would just say all of that resonates completely with me. So I appreciate that you shared your story. And I actually heard a term that might relate to that of like revenge procrastination. Like you're getting
Hmm.
back at everything that's been sucking at you all day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. I haven't heard that term before, so that's a new one. Thank you so much. Teresa Luella, do you have any thoughts or?
Resonates with me too. I have a small child. I actually just started modifying this behavior because I noticed it and I put a little block in the middle of the day, like a half hour where I can intentionally scroll, and now I don't want to anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think from just what I've heard, if this is a really common situation, because I do it too. I decided to go to try online dating again. So, I mean, you can swipe and swipe for a really long time if you want to. So, yes, I can I can relate a lot.
Yeah. So this is a really common scenario I get as well. In fact, like one of the things I'm thinking about marketing for my business is alarm clocks with my logo on it, so people can put their phone in a different room because I can like recite this pretty regimentally off the top of my head about the standard advice I give is usually put your phone in a different room so you don't have it when you're going to bed, and then turn all your notifications off past 10 o'clock except for the phone, so that you can hear if it's an emergency. That's kind of just regurgitated standard advice. But one of the things I can get deeper into is that Sophie, you also alluded to it satisfying like another need though that you would not necessarily get. Like, how would you feel if instead of doing this TV and scrolling, since you wake up at five, you said 4:30 or 5 in the morning, like how would you feel if you did just go to sleep so that you're more get more sleep in general? Like, would that still leave a need open for whatever you're getting out of that 9 to midnight hour?
I think it's just me time because I don't get
Yeah,
much me time. And I don't know if it's good me time. I mean, I guess I
yeah,
learn really random things while I'm watching reels that like somehow manifest later. Or like, I would like to go to sleep, but there's just like a barrier for me, just like a mental barrier of like, oh my, in the past it was like as soon as I go to sleep, my kid wakes up. And so that was the thing I had to get through. Um,
mm,
but I think it's just like yeah, I think it's just me time. That's the way I think about it, but it goes for far too long. Like, I guess I should put a timer, but I just don't like it when any technology tells me what to do. So it just makes me
yeah.
really angry, and I just do it more. So,
So I guess I would just come back to the other question that I had before, which is, if we start talking about like kind of new courses of action, just, anything you can follow up, is that if you were to, I don't know, whether it be either just a movie or like just maybe 2 episodes of a 30-minute TV show where your me time was set, and technology wasn't specifically telling you what to do, is just telling you the movie's over, right? And you see those end credits. Um, would that sufficiently, I guess, handle that me time?
yeah, so I've been watching The Gilded Age. I don't know if you guys are watching it, but now I'm caught up, so I don't have that anymore. And that's actually been good because it has like a set time, and then we kind of always want to watch another episode, which then we're like, oh, that's too many. But I think another issue is if it's too short, if it's like a 30-minute episode, then my husband really likes to watch 2 or 3 episodes, and then it's like the same amount of time has been taken away. And I actually feel that whenever I watch like 1 episode, I feel okay. Two, I'm like so-so. If I end up watching 3 episodes, I get like ragey and I get really upset even more than watching reels. And I'm like, this is a complete
Hmm.
waste of my life. I don't know. I just get really ragey at that point. So like TV's an okay thing, but it has to be like I can only watch one episode and it cannot be a psychological thriller. It can't, I actually cannot watch anything that really makes me think because I do so much thinking in my my regular life. And I cannot watch Black Mirror. That will also make me very angry. That is what I have discovered. So yes, I can do it. But it's also like I need to watch a series so that I like we have that situation where it's like the routine is we watch one episode, it's a particular series, but if you're watching every day, then it kind of uses up things pretty quickly. But yeah, it's something I could do.
Okay, so we have about, it says we have 5 minutes remaining in the session. So I'm going to quickly stop my share. And my only final follow-up question, I'll leave it open for anyone else. My only final follow-up question is whether you have the, I guess, capability of now that you have the self-awareness, which is amazing. A lot of people don't have that awareness. Like people get ragey and they don't even understand why they're getting ragey, which can be infuriating for everyone else listening to the raginess. So now that you understand the raginess, you understand your mechanism. Um, my hope is that you would have the mental the ability, I guess, to have that conversation with your husband and tell him that like because like it doesn't seem to me, and you all everyone else can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but it doesn't feel to me like it's too terribly unreasonable for you to set that boundary with him and say, I can watch 2 episodes in a night, but then I want to get some sleep and even put something in to like make sure because you wake up early and you take on all that stuff, so it doesn't seem unreasonable from my perspective to be able to set that boundary with him.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and he knows it now. Like I can't watch that much. But I think what I guess for me is that I would like to find an alternative that is screen free if I could, because I feel like because that raginess does show up like if I end up watching a TV show that's new that I didn't really want to go like we have very differing tastes in our family. My kid loves like toddler shows and I cannot watch those. My husband loves like psychological thrillers and thinking shows and like shows that do nothing and I can't really watch those either. So I think I would like to do something. Are there any recommendations, I guess even from the team here, of things you guys do late at night that are I guess more self-care, I don't know, self-care, if that's the right word, or screen-free.
I've been listening to audiobooks. I
Okay.
don't know, like that's kind
Yeah.
of a thing too. People can do it or they can't, but there's the Libby app that you can download, and it's literally free audiobooks. And so sometimes I mean, it is, gosh, we have so many devices, but then I take my iPad,
Hmm.
right? And I put that in the bed next to me, and listen to that. I mean, the
Okay,
danger
yeah.
is I have fallen asleep
Well,
to
that's
it.
my goal,
So
I guess. If I fell asleep early, that would be great.
yeah, so it's kind of like the thing, but then I'm like, oh, what did I hear last? But I found it really helpful to then not be on my phone. I'm not doing anything. I'm in bed, I'm relaxing, and I'm just listening to something.
Sounds good.
Or I was thinking it'd be something fun to like brainstorm with friends. Like, what do you guys do? Let's brainstorm some ideas.
Uh, so I have this app called Routinery that I'm trying to be better about. I wrote out this whole evening routine for myself. And one of the things I used to like to do was listen to this like meditation thing on YouTube.
Mm,
But I found that if I had YouTube open, I would scroll. So what I
yeah.
did was I used this app called Opal and shut it down. And now I'm forced to use YouTube Music instead, where I cannot scroll. I can
Oh, okay.
only, yeah, I can only put on the meditation music or the thing I looked at before. So that's worked. And I also changed the way I use my phone, where I have the notes app and I write down thoughts all the time. So
Okay.
that's helped because now it's not like a passive device, it's a notebook or an act like a
Mm,
tool. And changing that mindset has helped a lot. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, and I love all those suggestions because there's like power in what everyone's doing. And the thing I always iterate in any of the sessions I do, any of the presentations I give, is that this is a common struggle. No one is a failure because we're having these issues. They employ the techniques that the Las Vegas casinos use to get us as addicted and hooked as possible. And, so no one is a failure. No one is anything like that for having these issues, but we're all kind of in it together and trying to find the solutions. And it's going to be different things working for different people. And I love to hear, what you all are doing because the whole getting to bed thing is probably the most common situation. Um, I the remaining time is confusing me a little bit. But yeah. All I would say is that the getting to bed is the most common situation. I tell people don't sleep with your loved ones, don't sleep with your phone. And I'll take a quick group photo here as it was said. But I would like to thank you very much for engaging me in this topic. I know this is weird. I should be taking a snapshot or whatever, but it's the easiest thing for me right now. But thank you so much for engaging in this topic and and a share of I guess congratulations or appreciation for coming to that self-awareness, for looking into these patterns and saying I can get better sleep. So anyone have anything final to say before the breakout room ends?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
No, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
One element of the meeting every time to like uh solidify how important it is. Welcome back.
Thank you for modeling how to show up messily, but with purpose.
You are welcome. Welcome back. Did all the leaders get appreciated for their sharing of their knowledge? Give me the thumbs up. Stephen appreciated. Christelle, Sasha, Lisa, where is she? I don't see her. Did Lisa get appreciated?
I'm right here. Uh, we covered a lot of ground, but I felt really good about the conversation. So I felt really
Okay.
good.
Please put the appreciations for Christelle, or sorry, for Lisa in the chat. So we make sure we do that. Um, could all of you see my annoying postings in the chat while you're in your small group? Yes. Sorry about that. I was not aware. All right. Well, the good thing is now I won't have to repost them. But the first thing I posted was Stephen's Reclaim Your Time slides and worksheets. I'm going to put a star by it right now. Hopefully you can, or rainbow, you can see it. Um, Second thing for us to do as a group, you may or may not be familiar, but all this came to fruition because of a book Sheryl Sandberg wrote 13 years ago called Lean In. So our community in particular does appreciations of Cheryl's birthday, but honestly, it's really a community building thing. It's a little bit about Cheryl. Thank you for writing this book, and the proceeds go to the foundation, blah, blah, blah. But mostly it's a chance for us to see who else is in the community. So the second thing in the chat is uh, we don't want to just say happy birthday, blah, blah, blah. So it doesn't matter if you know her. We made some climber cards, and I'm just going to ask you to take a minute if you haven't already, and some of you already have. Go to those cards, put your name, choose a flower, put your name, last name, first name, your choice. What's something that you're leaning into? What's one of your ambitious goals? Because the whole project is about you going after your ambitious goals, our community in particular. And then last, if you have a birthday wish for Cheryl, add that. It's a little bit confusing, the climber cards, because it says, why did you choose this card? Who cares? So don't put that in there. Just put your name, your ambitious goal, if you feel comfortable sharing it, and a birthday wish for someone who started this particular movement. And if you prefer to use the chat because the climber cards are confusing, then that is just fine.
Is there a link to it? Are you sending that?
Oh, so people cannot see the link in the chat?
Yeah, there's a question from Luala.
Okay, let me post it again.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, you might have to scroll up the chat, but people said that I'm assuming if one person could see the chat, everybody can see it. I'll put also the QR code for those of you who are fancy. Yeah, and we do this together rather than after the meeting because we know that you all have busy lives. And if you screw it up, I happily will fix it later. So don't let fear get in your way. Um, and you'll once you fill it out, you'll see that there are a bunch of people who already filled it out, and you're welcome to sleuth on those people and connect with them. There are some really amazing people. One is Judaline Cassidy, who is a plumber in New York City. She started um, something in tiaras, tools and tiaras. So to get more girls into the trades. So she's amazing. And so are almost everybody on that list. So, like I said, it's really about a community building effort. Yay for the photos of the small groups. Could not be happier. Especially given that I forgot about the jobs. And it's a bummer today because I had a clever job this time. So in the future, we're gonna have even more jobs. Right. And could if are people having trouble? Feel free to unmute if you're struggling with the climber cards. Because we are happy to help you. Given this was all started in Silicon Valley,